assistant director, my job is to sort of understand Todd's eye and be implementing that at every turn. So making sure that statements that he's making about the story, about characters are being implemented, and just being ready to do whatever's asked all the time.
And I'm one of two dramaturgs on the production. And a dramaturg is essentially a researcher for the production, beginning with background research into past productions, images that might be useful to designers, researching any references or context regarding the play that people might not be familiar with on the production to help them envision the world of the play. And then also to serve as something that's sometimes referred to as the critic inside the production. So coming to rehearsals, especially run-throughs, watching and giving notes to the director from sort of an outsider perspective.
I have to say, when you're directing a play, to have such incredible support in doing it is it's a help to you in solving problems and getting things done and working with the actors. And I've been very honored to have both of you working on the show. This program tonight, we're going to be talking about the humans as part of the genre of the American family play. And I wonder if I could throw that idea out to you and say, well, what does that mean, the American family play? And what are some common elements that we find in other family plays that might be present in humans? Juliana, let's start.
Sure. So for me, I think it's fascinating to think about, as you read these plays, some of the events and things that come back around. So the relationship between the father, the mother, and the nuclear family. And also, as a Cuban American, I think it's really fascinating to ask the question, what is the American family and what does that look like? And how some of the stories that are in our canon right now are how to look at how that canon is increasing and diversifying. It's really fascinating to me. And I'm going to pitch it over to Joel.
This might tip the hand a little of some things that I'll say about one of the scenes that we'll present, but in the 19th and early 20th centuries, the popular plays in America were melodrama and farce. And then along came what's sometimes referred to as modern psychological realism, and people were more interested in seeing stories of everyday people depicted on stage, the conflicts that we go through, the struggles that we all experience in our day-to-day lives. In the American family, drama sort of grows out of that movement.
So I wonder if you could tell us about the plays that you've picked as to present selections from today, and also introduced our cast of actors. 3 of the actors are with us, are actually the understudies for the actors in the humans, and wonder if you can introduce our actors and the pieces that will move forward.
Absolutely. So we have selections from 4 wonderful plays for you today. We're going to be starting with Long Day's Journey into Night, and I'll bring up the actors right now. So we will be hearing from the wonderful Rebecca Dennis. Clap, clap, clap. Yes, please. Joining her in bringing this production to your ears will be the Humans understudy, Alyssa Austin. Come on up. Along with her will be also Humans understudy, Joe Paulson. And finishing up our group of wonderful humans is Bernardo Pacheco. They are going to help us present 3 more scenes from plays. So you'll hear from The Death of a Salesman, How I Learned to Drive, and August, Osage County. And we're going to be starting with Long Day's Journey into Night. Joel?
So Long Day's Journey into Night is a play by Eugene O'Neill. Eugene O'Neill is credited as being the American playwright who brought modern psychological realism to American drama, following in the heels of Ibsen and Strindberg and Chekhov in Scandinavia and in Russia. And Long Day's Journey into Night was his magnum opus. He never intended for it to be staged and never intended for it to be published until 25 years after his death. But his widow, within 3 years of his death, had decided to go ahead and have it mounted. It premiered in Sweden and then was mounted here in the United States. It won the Tony for Best Play and Pulitzer Prize. And it's very autobiographical. It tells the story of a family over the course of one evening. We see them in crisis, we see their foibles, and we've selected 2 scenes. One scene shows the mother, Mary, who is a morphine addict, who's been jonesing for morphine for the first couple of scenes of the play and has finally gotten her fix. And then the second scene shows the father, Tyrone, and one of his sons essentially bickering over money. And with that, we'll present 2 scenes from Long Day's Journey into Night.
Foghorn. Isn't it awful, Kathleen?
It is indeed, ma'am. It's like a banshee.
I don't mind it tonight. Last night it drove me crazy. I lay awake worrying until I couldn't stand it anymore.
Bad cess to it. I was scared out of my wits riding back from town.
It wasn't the fog I minded, Kathleen. I really love fog.
They say it's good for the complexion.
It's the foghorn I hate. It won't let you alone. Keeps reminding you and warning you and calling you back. But it can't tonight. It's just an ugly sound. It doesn't remind me of anything. Except perhaps Mr. Tyrone snores. I've always had such fun teasing him about it. He hasn't snored ever since I can remember, especially when he's had too much to drink. And yet he's like a child. He hates to admit it. Well, I suppose I snore at times too, and I don't like to admit it, so I have no right to make fun of him, have I?
Ah, sure. Everybody healthy snores. It's a sign of sanity, they say. Tyrone is seated at the table playing solitaire. He hears someone entering the front door.
Who's that? Is that you, Edmund?
Yes.
Edmund collides with something in the dark hall. A moment later, the hall lamp is turned on.
Turn out that light before you come in.
But Edmund doesn't. He comes in through the front parlor.
Glad you're here, lad. I've been damned lonely. You're a fine one to run away and leave me all alone here at night, and I told you to turn out that light. Like giving a ball. The reason to have the house ablaze with electricity this time of night, burning up money.
Ablaze with electricity. One bulb! Hell, everyone keeps a light on in the front hall until they go to bed. I damn near busted my knee on the hat stand.
The light from here shows in the hall. You could see your well long enough if you were sober.
If I was sober. I like that.
I don't give a damn about what other people do. They want to be wasteful fools. For the sake of show, let them be.
One bulb? Christ, don't be such a cheapskate. I've proved by figures, if you just left the light bulb on all night, it wouldn't be as much as one drink.
To hell with your figures. The proof is in the bills I have to pay.
Yes, facts don't mean a thing, do they? What you want to believe, that's the only truth. Shakespeare was an Irish Catholic, for example.
So he was. The proof is in his plays. I'm not going to argue with you. I asked you to turn out that light in the hall.
I heard you. And as far as I'm concerned, it stays on.
None of your damned insolence. Are you going to obey me or not?
Not. If you want to be a crazy miser, put it out yourself.
Okay, so Joe chose that selection, and that is a brilliant selection for the humans. There is so much commonality with the humans in that. First of all, it's an Irish Catholic family in the humans, right? Right? Second of all, well, and mainly is the concern with money, right? That how much you're spending on a light bulb. And the third, of course, is the light bulb. In the humans, there's all this mystery going on with bulbs burning out and turning on and off. So that's fairly amazing. Do you want to? Are there other commonalities with the humans that you feel in the play?
Well, as you're going to see in some of the other scenes, addiction is a pretty strong theme in the American family drama. And in the Humans, we have to decide as audience members whether we're seeing addicts on this stage or not. There are things that might make us think we're seeing people who are addicted in the Humans, but it's definitely played down a good deal more than it is in this and in some of the other selections that we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. In the Humans, there's that role that alcohol plays in the revelation of secrets, which I think is the same thing. Long Day's Journey Night. It's really exciting and mind-boggling just to see where the commonalities are. Great. Do you want to introduce us to Death of a Salesman? Is that your piece?
Yes, so I have the honor of introducing Death of a Salesman, which, as many of us know, puts a microscope under looking at the cost and the price paid to achieve the American dream. And in the scene that we're going to start out with, we have the prodigal son, Biff, really having an encounter with his father, Willie, much to the chagrin of his mother, Linda, about whether he's going to continue to follow in his father's footsteps or if he is going to become his own man. So I'll let y'all take it away.
Now hear this, Willie. This is me.
I know you.
You know I had no address for 3 months? I stole a suit in Kansas City and I was in jail. Stop crying, I'm through with it.
I suppose that's my fault.
I stole myself out of every good job since high school.
And whose fault is that?
And I never got anywhere because you blew me so full of hot air I could never stand taking orders from anybody. That's whose fault it is.
I hear that.
Don't,
It's goddamn time you heard that. I had to be boss big shot in 2 weeks, and I'm through with it.
Well, then hang yourself. For spite, hang yourself.
No, nobody's hanging himself, Willie. I ran down 11 flights with a pen in my hand today, and suddenly I stopped, you hear me? And in the middle of that office building, do you hear this? I stopped in the middle of that building, and I saw the sky. I saw the things that I love in this world, the work, and the food, and the time to sit and smoke. And I looked at the pen and I said to myself, what the hell am I grabbing this for? Why am I trying to become what I don't want to be? What am I doing in an office making a contemptuous begging fool of myself when all I want is out there, waiting for me the minute I say I know who I am? Why can I say that, Willie?
The door of your life is wide open.
Pop, I'm a dime a dozen and so are you.
I am not a dime a dozen. I am Willie Loman. And you are Biff Loman.
And the next selection that we're going to hear from Death of a Salesman is listening to Linda eulogizing her husband.
I'll be with you in a minute. Go on, Charlie. I want to just for a minute. I never had a chance to say goodbye. Oh, forgive me, dear. I can't cry. I don't know what it is, but I can't cry. I don't understand it. Why did you ever do that? Help me, Willie. I can't cry. It seems to me that you're just on another trip. I keep expecting you, Willie, dear. I can't cry. Why did you do it? I search and search and I search and I can't understand it. Willie, I need the last payment on the house today. Today, dear. And there'll be nobody home. We're free and clear. We're free.
Biff comes slowly toward her.
We're free. We're free.
Biff lifts her to her feet and moves, with her in his arms. Only the music of the flute is left on the darkening stage as over the house, the hard towers of the apartment buildings rise into sharp focus.
Those are some of the most famous scenes in the American American theater that we've now seen. I don't know if you remember, but there's a poster out in the hall that reminds me that I directed Death of a Salesman here in 1999. And what's interesting is at that same time, Brian Dennehy was playing Willie Loman on Broadway. And I don't know if you know this, but his daughter, Elizabeth Dennehy, is the mother in our production of The Humans. So you'll see a little touch of that in the production. So there are just a couple of things that struck me so strongly from hearing this. I guess it's the idea of the house being representative of something about the family, right? That in the end they pay off the mortgage and Linda says, we're free, we're free, we're free. And in this play also, the family and the individuals in the family, and particularly the patriarch, is represented by the house. And it goes even further in The Humans because the house seems to have its own life, its own vitality. I guess also it's so clear that kids' expectations of their parents and parents' expectations of their kids is at the center of Death of a Salesman, and I think it's also very much at the center of The Humans. So there's amazing parallels. I think there's one other thing is that, I don't know if other people have noticed this, but what's that famous image from Death of a Salesman, right, that we all know? If you kind of Google image Death of a Salesman, you're gonna probably see Willie coming home from a long trip with a suitcase in either hand, kind of hunched over, right? Hang out and watch the first minute of this play, which actually starts with virtually the exact same image. So I think there's some direct influence between Death of a Salesman and The Humans. Cool, the next piece we're gonna do is How I Learned to Drive.
So How I Learned to Drive by Paula Vogel might be the least familiar of the plays that we're presenting to you tonight, although it was done here at the Rep in 1998 or 99. It's a play by Paula Vogel. She's a very important American playwright, not only for the ways in which she has worked with form, but also because she has taught a lot of other playwrights to be playwrights. She usually takes inspiration for her plays from existing sources, and she took the inspiration for How I Learned to Drive from Lolita. And How I Learned to Drive does tell the story of a sexual relationship between a young woman and her aunt's husband. So the central character is a little bit, her Uncle Peck is her predator. But Paula Vogel wrote a play in which that predator was not simply depicted as some kind of creep or villain, but as a man with whom the audience has some sympathy. So it's a challenging play in terms of how it explores its themes. And the scenes that we're going to be presenting are a monologue from Aunt Mary, the aunt to our central character and wife to Uncle Peck, and then a scene between Uncle Peck and Little Bit at Christmas time when Little Bit is about 12 or 13.
I know he has troubles, and we don't talk about them. I wonder sometimes, what happened to him during the war? The men who fought World War II didn't have rap sessions to talk about their feelings. Men in his generation were expected to be quiet about it and get on with their lives. And sometimes I can feel him just fighting the trouble, whatever is burrowed deep within the scar tissue, and we don't talk about it. I know he's having a bad spell because he comes looking for me in the house. He just hangs around me until it passes. And I keep my banter light. I discuss a new recipe, or sales, or gossip. Because I think domesticity can be a balm for men when they're lost. We sit in the house and listen to the piece of the clock ticking in his well-ordered living room until it passes. I'm not a fool. I know what's going on. But I wish you could feel how hard Peck fights against it. He's swimming against the tide, and what he needs is to see me on the shore believing in him, knowing he won't go under, and knowing he won't give up.
Peck stands in a dress shirt and tie. Nice pants for the neck. He is washing dishes. Little Bit watches him a moment.
Uncle Peck?
He continues to work on the pots.
I didn't know where you'd gone to.
He nods. She takes this as a sign to come in.
Don't you want to sit with us for a while?
No, I'd rather do the dishes.
You're the only man I know who does dishes. I think it's really nice.
My wife has been on her feet all day. So's your grandmother and your mother.
I know. Do you want some help?
No. You can help by just talking to me.
Big Papa never does the dishes. I think it's nice.
Well, I think men should be nice to women. Women are always working for us. There's nothing particularly manly in wolfing down food and then sitting around in a stupor while the women clean up.
That looks like a really neat camera that Aunt Mary got you.
Oh, it is. It's a very nice one.
Did Big Papa hurt your feelings?
What? Oh, no, it doesn't hurt me. Family is family. I'd rather have him picking on me than... I don't pay him any mind a little bit.
Are you angry with us?
Not a little bit. I'm not angry.
We missed you at Thanksgiving. I did. I missed you.
Well, there were things going on. I didn't want to spoil anyone's Thanksgiving.
Uncle Peck, please don't drink anymore tonight.
So Joel, as I watch all three of these scenes, it seems that a common theme in these American dramas are very flawed men. Right? Maybe that's a common theme in all of our lives, yes? And I think it's also, we see in all plays the people that are suffered because of the choices that these male elders are making. Do you see that? Are you seeing that connection? Yeah. Why don't we see the last set of pieces, then we can talk about how these all come together.
Great. So the last scene that you're going to see today is from August, Osage County by Tracy Letts, and it's about a dysfunctional family, aren't we all, who are brought together by the death of the specter of their father. So this is a absent father, a troubled man, as we might say, and they're reeling with this loss, their own secrets, and some really old wounds that, as always happens, and we're about to see tonight, when families get together, they pick at each other, and secrets and truths come out. So this is the last scene of the play, where Violet, the mother, who's on some pills and has some alcohol in her, is being confronted by her daughter Barbara about the death of Beverly, Barbara's father.
Did the note say Daddy was going to kill himself? Mom?
If I'd had my wits about me, I might have done it different. But I was, well, your father and me both, we were
both fucked up. You were fucked up. You're fucked up.
You had better understand this, you smug little ingrate. There is at least one reason Beverly killed himself, and that's you. You think there's any way he would have done that? What, if you were still here? No. Just him and me, here in the house, in the dark, left just to ourselves, abandoned, washed lifetimes devoted to your care and comfort. So stick that knife of judgment in me, go ahead, but make no mistake, his blood is just as much on your hands as it is on mine. He did this though. This was his doing, not ours. And can you imagine anything more cruel to make me responsible? And why? Just to weaken me? Just to make me prove my character? So no, I waited. I waited so I could get my hands on that safety deposit box. But I would have waited anyway. You want to know who's stronger, Bev? Nobody is stronger than me, God damn it. Because when nothing is left, When everything is gone and disappeared, I'll be here. Who's stronger now, you son of a bitch?
No, you're right, Mom. You're the strong one.
Barbara kisses her mother, exits the dining room, returns to the living room.
Barbara?
Barbara grabs her purse, digs out rental car keys.
Barbara!
Barbara stands, listens to her mother.
Barbara, please.
Barbara exits the house.
Please. Barbara? Please?
Violet shuffles into the living room.
Barbara? You here?
She crosses through the dining room, staggers into the kitchen.
Ivy! Ivy, you here? Barb!
She crosses through the dining room again, returns to the living room.
Barb? Ivy?
She turns in a circle, disoriented, panicked.
Bev?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'd like to give a big hand to our actors who made these wonderful scenes. So just in August, Osage County, my God, there's so many resonances with the humans. First of all, this theme of he did this or who did this. It's something towards the end of the play which is actually sort of repeated. You did this, you did this. So I guess it's sort of a sense, I think, in all the plays of why are we in this present situation? What happened in the past and whose fault is it too? I also am seeing, you're seeing a parent calling out for their children, being abandoned by their children, and when they see the same thing, isn't it just, it's just extraordinary how much commonality is. So if you were going to say that there's this genre of the American family play, now that we've seen these other plays, how do you position the humans in this? And what effect do you think this tradition has on the story that's being told? And how does the humans vary from what, I mean, the thing about the humans is we weren't watching plays that are written over a 70-year period. The Human was written 3 years ago. So what's different about the humans?
Sure, so what I think is a common thread that I was speaking to a little earlier is that when families come together, they know the exact right levers to push that's going to drive the other person crazy. And they know the specific trauma that's going to happen that's really going to activate this person. You know, I think of my own family when we get together and I become a little bit of a maniac crazy person just because I know them and love them so well. I think about roses growing too tightly together with their thorns sticking into each other, and when they move, the blood's going to happen. But what I think is fascinating is that because it's family, we really do get to see all sides of the story. So the Humans is really a kaleidoscope in that way, that we are able to understand. We can be identifying with someone one moment, and then the next they can say something that is completely horrifying and spiteful, and that our alliances are always shifting, which I think is the experience of visiting your family and being with them.
So, you know, I think the sort of one of the common threads is everyday things are happening and there are revelations. And that's sort of how these plays all work. As Todd mentioned, the theme of blame, I think, is a very strong theme. And I think that one of the several things that the Humans does that advances things or adds a new layer or does something new is, like Paula Vogel, Stephen Karam is engaged in a formal exercise. He's playing with the form. I didn't talk in depth about how Paula Vogel did that, and I'm not going to. But this play that you'll see tonight is a single, unbroken 90-minute scene. We watched this family in 90 minutes in real time. And there's something about that experience that I think creates a cumulative dramatic effect that's very impactful and quite striking.
So I wonder if you'd like to ask any questions about the Humans or have any impressions of the readings that you've seen that you'd like to share. Let's open the floor up for a few minutes. Yeah.
You know, when you were talking about the death of a salesman, and one of your themes is that you're sort of showing the perspective from each person. When my wife directed that play, there were two reviewers that did the review, a male reviewer and a female reviewer, and the male reviewer said, boy, Willie was right on. The wife couldn't act her way out of a paper bag. And the female viewer said the exact opposite. So, you know, it's like, it seems like it's hard for the opposite sex person to identify.
Well, I think you're raising something which is relevant to the humans too, which is that I think that who you are and where you are in life, you're going to see the play through a different lens. And like Juliana said, I think it's really interesting that sometimes you're rooting for somebody and then the person does something and you're like, that's such a cruel thing. How could you do that? And one minute you're laughing at a person and then, you know, you're sad or horrified for the person. And I think that's sort of the brilliance of the humans too, is just the way the characters are so multifaceted and you see them behave in such different ways. Other comments or questions? Well, great. I wonder if I could ask some of the understudies from the humans if you want to share what your what an understudy does and what your experience working on humans has been.
I was worried you were going to do that, Todd. My name is Alyssa Austin. I have the privilege of understudying both Bridget and Amy Blake in the show, who are the two daughters in the Blake family. And this process of being an understudy has been incredibly rewarding, incredibly educational, and again, just such a privilege to be in the room with so many actors who have accomplished so much over the course of their career and to be able to learn from them. Our role is exciting and difficult, but very fun. We basically are responsible for learning everything that we need to know without ever actually stepping on the rehearsal stage or working with anyone else other than ourselves, which we do quite often. But it's been a great challenge and a great triumph to make it to our first preview night, and we are just as excited as you are to watch this first preview. And
well, I think you spoke very thoroughly on what our role is, and I always find it really funny because we work hard, we prepare for all this for something that we hope never has to happen. But you know, speaking on the rehearsal process for this, especially, which is I think unique to the humans, is it's such a family play. It's a play dissecting this family down to the very molecule. And the wonderful people that have been cast, who you're going to see tonight, do this on and off rehearsal. I think for me as an understudy, I've learned so much from this play in rehearsals as I have from the breaks. To see people live and breathe and just exist with each other and care for each other, and what subtleties that means, you know, to make a comment about someone's weight, you know, hurtful in 1 second, but, you know, with a sentiment of caring, you know, that duality, it just vibrates from these people and from this show, and that to me has been the most rewarding experience, getting to be a part of that living, breathing family.
More than any show I've ever done, the understudies have been present at this one, and we're talking about every single rehearsal. And like Alyssa said, without ever actually getting a chance to go on, just watching and observing. And you know, you generally never know when you're going to need the understudy, but the hard thing is you just have to be ready for that phone call. I have to say, in my experience over the years, you often have a little notice, so that you go like, okay, in 48 hours you're going to need to go on. But it's such a demanding thing to do, which is to learn the entire role and then essentially have to go on with the cast with virtually no rehearsal and carry the show. And in a show like The Humans, which is, you know, just 6 different characters, and in their case, you know, some of them are playing several of them. It's a lot to prepare. What's also interesting about the humans, and one of the ways that Stephen Karam is playing with form, is in this house, you see multiple characters talking in different floors, in different rooms of the house at the same time. So it's almost impossible to learn the lines by yourself, because you're being interrupted by people who aren't there, who are in different scenes at the same time. So, in fact, even in rehearsing this play, we just take time every day just to run lines, because it's such a complex piece of music. And I guess that's the kind of commonality that I feel of all of these writers and all these plays, is in the way they've created a music of American life and American drama that continues to evolve now. And so we're really happy that you've joined us. I want to thank Joel, Juliana, Rebecca, Bernardo, Alyssa, and Joe for acting and putting the program together tonight. And we hope you enjoy the first preview of The Humans. Thank you so much for joining us.